Hello, my name is Mark Crone, and I'm a graduate student in OSU's Radiation Health Physics program. This presentation discusses some of the issues surrounding whether or not the U.S. government should require mandatory labeling of GMO foods, and is presented as a non-biased overview of the mandatory food labeling debate. A genetically modified organism, also referred to as a GMO, refers to any living form whose genetic material has been altered through genetic engineering. With regards to food, the term applies mostly to crops grown with the objective of adding or eliminating certain characteristics, such as adding or removing genes from a crop to make it grow faster, or to have a delayed ripening, or greater drought or insect resistance. Genetic engineering is usually accomplished in a laboratory and is faster than conventional selective breeding techniques. It is estimated that roughly 60 to 70% of processed foods in grocery stores contain at least one genetically engineered ingredient. On April 24, 2013, the Genetically Engineered Food Right to Know Act was introduced in Congress and assigned to a congressional committee. The committee will consider the bill before possibly sending it on to the House or Senate as a whole. The act seeks to require mandatory labeling of foods that contain genetically engineered ingredients. Proponents of the act state that they have the right to know what's in their food, and that GE foods have been linked to health issues in animal studies. Proponents state that mandatory labeling will allow them to stay away from foods that could potentially cause them problems. Proponents also argue that many consumers want to avoid GE foods for religious or ethical reasons, which may prohibit them from eating animal products or products that may contain animal DNA. Proponents further state that at least 21 other countries, including the European Union, require some form of mandatory GE food labeling, which leads to the question, what do other countries know that we don't? Proponents also argue that there's large support for GE labeling of food, and that nearly 95% of Americans support GE food labeling. Opponents to mandatory labeling argue that studies have consistently shown no adverse human health effects, and that labeling can only mislead and falsely alarm consumers. They also argue that the current FDA regulations require a specific label if a nutritional or allergenic difference were found in a GE food when compared to the same type of conventional food. Opponents also argue that the current U.S. food system infrastructure, which includes storage, processing, and transportation facilities, cannot possibly accommodate the segregation of GE and non-GE products. Opponents state that mandatory labeling will result in an economic impact ranging from a few dollars per person per year up to 10% of a person's food bill per year, and that mandatory labeling in other countries has resulted in less consumer choice, and that GE labeled products have been removed from shelves due to perceived consumer aversion to the products. Opponents also argue that consumers already have a choice to buy non-GE food, in that by definition certified organic foods cannot be produced with GE ingredients. Opponents state that consumers who want to avoid animal products don't have to worry about GE foods, because there are no GE food products currently under review or on the market that contain animal genes. There is even disagreement as to the wording on GE labels. The U.S. FDA feels that phrases like GMO-free and not genetically modified are inappropriate. The FDA states that free implies zero content, which is almost impossible to verify, and that genetically modified is inappropriate in that all crop varieties have been modified by plant breeders. On the other hand, the FDA feels that phrases such as, "we do not use ingredients produced using biotechnology," would be okay. The website govtrack.us estimates only a 3% chance that the current mandatory labeling bill will get past committee, and a 0% chance that it will be enacted. The estimate is based in part on the fact that during the current 113th Congress, only 11% of House bills made it past committee, and only 3% were enacted. A list of references used in this presentation are provided for the viewer. Thank you.